Let's install a trigger on an AR15. First up, we're going to put the trigger together. There's a little disconnector spring like that. It has a big end and a small end. The big end goes in first, and it goes in that circle right there. So you push it down in, seat it, and it retains itself. Next, we're going to put the trigger spring on the trigger. The trigger spring has a closed end and an open end. So you hold it like this, take your trigger, and you work the loops in the spring over the pinholes in the trigger like that. It's really important to make sure the closed end of the trigger spring is in this notch right here, not down here. Now we're going to take the assembled trigger and we're going to drop it down into the lower. The safety selector is already installed on this rifle, but you can still do it. You just work it down behind the safety selector. So you drop it in like that, and then you're going to take your disconnector and put it in. This is the disconnector. That little disconnector spring goes right here, and obviously the pin goes in that hole. So you take it, drop it down on the trigger, make sure everything's lined up, like that, and then we're going to work our trigger pin in. So you're going to put pressure down on the disconnector and line up the holes in the receiver with the holes in the trigger. So you just work it around. Might have to change the pressure and it'll snap in eventually. Just like that. Now, down on the inside, you can see the disconnector sitting right on top of the trigger and the pin is even on both sides of the receiver. Next up is the hammer. The hammer's got a spring just like the trigger. It's got an open end and a closed end. You're going to work the closed loops on the hammer spring over the pinhole millings in the hammer. The open ends of the hammer spring are going to sit on top of the trigger pin. So you start it in like this, work those open ends down. Now you're going to push this down until the pinholes in the hammer line up with the millings in the receiver. A vise block makes this much easier to do, but you don't have to have one. So you put some pressure down on the hammer until they line up, and then you start your pin in. And you can just keep pushing it through. Once you get that hammer pin in, push the hammer back and it should cock like that. Then you can function test it with the trigger, but do not dry fire a strip lower like this. The hammer will strike the receiver and that's not good for anything. So just put your finger there and catch the hammer. Remember, you're made in the image of God and He loves you.